Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Well, hello, James Mason. Or should I call you Akiba Meese?
Yes, and hello, Julia Childs. Or shall I call you Stevie?
Julia's good for me.
Okay. I almost... it's a hard one not to immediately repeat. Okay,
Indeed.
Good to know. Good to know.
If you missed our last episode, Aki and I went full on into our respective Julia and James accents. Role we will likely reprise.
I honestly have been thinking about it since and think that there should probably be some mini episodes with James and Julia and James, where they, like, I don't know, talk about Star Trek or something, but they don't know anything about it.
Oh, like a bonus. I like it. Like a skit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Like a bonus skit.
Patrons, let us know how you feel.
Patreon.com/setphasers.
Yeah. Oh, great. We got that out of the way. That's what we wanted to say. Well, listen, folks. Aki and Stevie here. We're back. This is Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. Today we're talking about Season 2 of Star Trek Picard, Episodes 3 and 4, respectively, entitled Assimilation and Watcher. And today's stardate is stardate
2202413.4.
Yeah, that's right. I came up with the stardate right before we hit record. And normally we like to talk about Patreon, but now you know we got a Patreon. You can go there and support us. And, you know, if you're interested in hearing some mini episodes from James Mason and Julia Child, I mean, listen, it could happen. That could become our main thing. Who knows?
It could. And I think the last Zoom hang we did was cooking with Aki. So we could cook with Aki and Julia.
That's right. Aki, who forgot to get onions for his thing that very much required onions.
That's right.
That was good times. Good times. Well, listen, we got 2 episodes to talk about. We should probably just get into it. Let's run it down.
Let's run it down.
It's time to run it down.
Can you run it down for me? Talk about Picard now. Run it down for me.
Dr. Picard. Okay. It's hard to time that out on Zoom, but I think that's as close as we're going to get.
Yeah. I can fix it in post.
You could fix it in post. Make sure it all works out. Okay. So, episode 3, Assimilation. Remember where we left off? The crew of La Sirena had just escaped from the Eradication Day ceremony, and they had gone up to the ship, and they were trying to hook the Queen up, and then the magistrate, hubby, 7 of 9's stupid husband, shows up, and he's like, "No, Picard, what about if I put your head on a shelf? Goosh!" And they're like, "What are we going to do?" So, in the beginning of this, Elnor gets shot in the chest. 7 tries to, like, cover it. She's like, "This is a covert operation. How dare you put your guns down?" But he doesn't buy it. He's like, "What's my full name?" And 7's like, actually, I have no idea. And then he hits her with the gun, and like physically hits her with the gun, doesn't shoot, and then everything goes all into hell. But then the crew manages to turn the tables on these people, and they use the vaporizing setting on these phasers, and it is in fact Rafi who dispatches the magistrate, turning him into red neon fireworks, I truly hope, never to be seen again. He did not have faith in the heart. He sucked.
We will not be saluting him.
He will get no salutes from us. He can get salutes from a Star Trek Confederation podcast.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? We could do an alternate universe podcast.
Oh my God. We could do a weird fascist version of our podcast. Yeah, where we're Commandante Stevie. And, okay. So Jurati hooks the Borg Queen up. They try to get Elnor down to sick bay. There's ships following them. They manage to, Q shows up briefly and he asks Picard if he wants to see what else he's ruined and then disappears. The Queen gets hooked up. She takes over the ship, turns it all into Borg, and she takes down the pursuing ships and then sends them into warp around the sun, exceeding warp 9.5. Time reverses. Tears get sucked back up in the eyes. Sparks fall up instead of down. It's pretty intense and weird. It's like the black hole sun video. Like everyone's like kind of still, but things are moving in reverse. Anyway, they arrive at the 21st century Earth, which we later find out is 2024. The ship shuts down. The Queen used all the power and she's completely passed out. So its ship is non-responsive. They're caught in the gravity well of Earth. Picard takes over nav control because they can't crash his ship into LA because, butterfly effect and all that stuff. So they go crash landing into an abandoned Chateau Picard. And Elnor is dying because of lack of power. They try to get the Queen awake or try to get her disconnected from the ship, but it takes too long. Elnor and Rafi have a moment where Elnor tells her to take out his medallion, which gives him comfort. And she sees it says Sem Nyok Kon, which translates to now is the only moment. Ooh, time. And Elnor dies. Just straight up dies. I can't do it. Every time you do it, I try to do it. It hurts. Man, our big band is really kicking today. And so he gets put into cold storage. Rafi's super upset. Picard is like, listen, we don't have time to deal with this. I know it goes against everything we believe, but we have got to find a way to get time back on track. So Seven and Rios and Rafi are going to go into LA and try to find this watcher that the Queen talked about. And Jurati and Picard are going to work on getting the Queen to be back awake. We'll see how that goes. Jurati scans the Queen, finds out that she's alive, but she can't speak because she's trying to speak. It's kind of a weird thing. Picard tells her, Borg don't really talk. They talk through the connection of being assimilated, and it's really euphoric and it's super fun or whatever. And Jurati's like, oh, I'll try it. And Picard's like, absolutely not. Meanwhile, Rafi is all business. She wants to boom to this place called the Mark Ridge Industrial Tower, which is the highest point, I guess, in LA, which will allow them to scan all of the rest of LA for any alien, influences or fields or whatever. And so they're going to change into clothes for the period. Rafi is not going to discuss her feelings about Elnor. She's basically pinning on her hopes on the idea, not fact, Jurati cannot confirm before her, that if they fix the timeline, they bring Elnor back to life. See about that. Jurati still she says she's going to only partially assimilate with the Queen and said Picard will be able to watch her. Her conscious mind will be in with the Queen, but her subconscious will stay behind and still be talking to Picard. Sounds like fun. Jurati's subconscious. Sure. The team beams out. Jurati connects to the Queen. The team beams in to LA because of how broken the transporters are and the fact that they can't correct for gravitation or something like that. Maybe it's rotation. They beam in sort of not all in the same place. Rafi appears on the street. All good. Seven appears in front of a child whom says, are you a superhero? And she's like, can you keep my secret? And winks. And the kid's like, And Rios appears on a street. Well, not on the street, about 15 or 20 feet above the street, next to a fire escape, which he tries to grab, but does not successfully grab. And he falls down onto the concrete on his face, bleeds out, and passes out. We come back and Rios is being taken to a clinic by a friendly passerby. They try to patch him up. He drops his comm badge, which some kid picks up. Meanwhile, Rafi on the street is in one of those sort of large, unhoused villages in LA. And then out of an 80s movie, some guy shows up and tries to stick her up for money with a gun. He's like, put him up, everything in your pockets. And so Rafi's like, you gotta be kidding me. Knocks this guy out. Minds are taking his wallet because she's like, oh yeah, money in this future. Seven finds her. It's 2024. There's a big sign for the Europa mission, all this hope for the future, whatever, so forth, but also this sort of dichotomy of how terrible things are. Picard is talking to Agnes as she is connected to the Queen and her subconscious, and we get a lot of cool, interesting, weird things about Agnes, including her respect for Picard, but also her hatred for how sort of cold and self-sufficient he is, but also her own internal demons. It seems like a bout with depression, and that is what the Queen is trying to exploit. Picard is watching the screen because when the Queen gets to 100%, he's got to pull Agnes out so that she doesn't get completely taken, but then the Queen and Agnes start talking at the same time or alternately, and then when he reaches for the thing, her hand reaches up to grab his, and he's like, whose hand is that? And Agnes is like, mine, and the Queen is like, mine, and then Agnes is like, mine, and the Queen is like, mine, and Picard's like, no way, and he just disconnects. Agnes passes out, Queen passes out, and I think that the repair to the Queen was at 90% at that point. Meanwhile, Seven and Rafi go to the tower. They're confronted by a guard whom seven of nine people, 7 of 9 sweet talks into letting them go up into the sort of unpublic area, saying that they are getting engaged and that they were led up there on their first date, and mentioning this guy's coworker Kevin and saying that he's funner than him, and he's like, I'm not. Kevin's not funnier than me. Anyway, they go up there, they do a scan, they almost find something, then they sort of see Rios's badge going in and out. It's kind of confusing. Rios, meanwhile, is in the doctor's office. She says he's got a concussion and his hand is dislocated. She says he's a classical. There's a little whole thing going on between Dr. Teresa. I wrote it down later when they say her last name. But between the doc and Rios, she's like, you're like a classical guitarist and your hand is dislocated. Come on, you got to find a better idea for that. And he's all like, I don't know, whatever. And she's like, tell me your favorite story from childhood. And so he starts running down this story about it. He snuck into a pilot simulator and had the highest scores and how proud his mom was, and he thinks he's really making connection. And that's when she sneakily repairs his dislocated finger and takes him up and says, all right, there you go. And she says, all right, stay here until you're no longer dizzy, and then you'll be free to go. And that's when he realizes he's lost his comm badge. Seven and Rafi, meanwhile, while they're scanning, also see that the bad future that they just come from is beginning. There's pollution, and the sky is getting destroyed. And so that's kind of when is this divergence in time coming? They're still looking for the Watcher, and then they're like, we got to go find Rios. Rios, meanwhile, is able to stagger out of the room. He finds the kid with the badge, tries to get it from him. The kid is a kid, as kids are. He's all like, I don't know, finders keepers, mama. Does he know what's at stake? Anyway, Rios tries to trade the kid with a plate of cookies that he finds on top of the refrigerator, but the doctor interrupts him because the kid is her kid. And so she's like, I'll take that and the badge, and I'll keep it at the thing. And you put your shirt on because we cleaned your stuff, and then you can get your badge at the front desk. I had a feeling at this point that Rios is going to have a lot of trouble getting his badge, but I'm hoping that it comes into play down the line. Rios gets dressed, tries to get his badge. Just as he's about to explain that, there's an immigration raid. ICE, baby! ICE, baby. Doodle-doo, they suck, yes. The Queen, meanwhile, is pressuring Picard for the ship because she's awake and Jurati's asleep. But then Jurati wakes up and Picard tells her it works. And Jurati's like, great, then we don't need to keep this Queen activated. And the Queen's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm an evil villain. She twirls her mustaches. You'll never stop me. You need me. I want your ship in order to give you the information about the Watcher. You'll never know anything because I know where they are and I know what you need to get them. And there's no way you'll stop me. You poor, selfless, stupid humans. And then Jurati's like, oh, you know where the Watcher is? Where is it? And the Queen's like, well, she's right. What have you done? And while Jurati was in there letting the Borg Queen plunder her subconscious, she was plundering the Queen's subconscious and put all that information in a file so she knows the coordinates of where the Watcher is, and perhaps more information should they choose to check. And the Borg Queen says, you've done something very dangerous. You impressed me. Rios et al. Run out. He decides to go back and save the doctor who's facing off with the ICE agents, and guess what? He gets arrested. That is the end of episode 3. On to episode 4. Yeah, you can stop this train. The Watcher. It's just called Watcher. Whatever. Picard is trying to contact the team. He's not getting any response. Rafi and Seven find the empty clinic. They do not see Rios' comm badge. Once again, I'm hoping this will come into play later on in an important way. But the assistant who was there lets them know that ICE came and took Rios, and if they don't find him soon, they're going to make him disappear. Jurati is still shivering, but they've gone away from the Queen. Picard cloaks the La Sirena because these evil ships from the evil future have evil cloaking, and they go into the chateau so that Picard can make a fire for Jurati. He tells the story of the Picards and how they had to escape World War II, and that's when they went to England, and they wouldn't come back for years and years and years, but the chateau would stay in the family. He has a flashback of running to his mother and how she would play Edith Piaf's Ne je ne regrette rien. Oh man, I almost said the French right. When he was upset, to calm him down. Picard's like, Agnes, you need to rest because of what you did. And Agnes is like, thinking is how I rest. And then Picard notices that Agnes is doing all these 15 things. She pulls out a bottle from 1915. She moves exactly 15 beads on the abacus and something else. She like the 15th edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, and also she, right before he had pulled her out, she had said, I know when the divergence happens, it's 15, and then Picard had pulled her out. So they realized maybe Agnes knew something when she was connected to the Queen, and they realized 15, it's not 15 hours, it's not 15 years. The date is April 12th, which incidentally, but 2024, and then maybe April 15th. They only have 3 days until history is irrevocably changed and the Confederation comes into power. Meanwhile, Jurati and Raf are on the bus listening to terrible rock music, but they are able to make a connection long enough for Seven to say, like, hey, Raf, you got to understand, you just lost somebody. You're kind of on edge. Maybe Rafi takes that information and handles it well. It's kind of interesting because I do feel like generally Rafi and Seven, their roles are reversed. Like Seven is like the badass, crazy, sort of like swashbuckling. Thank you. And Rafi's sort of the like, I'm here to think about things and go through things. But now Rafi's being super impulsive, and Seven is being like the charmer and the interpersonal person and all that stuff. Anyway, Jurati and Picard are on the ship. Because they figured this thing out, and now they know the location. They can't get in contact with the team, so Picard's like, you gotta beam me to the coordinates to speak to the Watcher. He gets beamed, and guess what? He gets beamed to, you were correct last episode, Stevie, number 10 Forward Street. Which, of course, is Guinan's bar that we remember from the first episode. It's empty as he shows up, but I did notice there was a picture of like an afroed woman with hearts for eyes, which I thought was very interesting iconography. The bar has that alien liquor, and in walks a young Guinan. I'm so glad they didn't go with CGI for this. And her dog Luna. It's closing day. She's like, I'm shutting down shop because I think she knows something's coming. Picard mentions that she's an Elnor, and Guinan pulls a shotgun from underneath the bar and points it at him and says, who are you? Meanwhile, Rafi and Seven head to a police station. They're trying to find Christos. We get Crystal Ball's new name, which is Crystal Ball, which is great. It's very stupid. Why would someone in LA not know the name Crystal Ball? It seems absurd to me, but whatever. It's good for a laugh. They find out that the LAPD won't know where the ICE detainees have been taken because they're not in the same system from a friendly guy in the station. Rios is in detention. He gets tased for trying to stand up for this other guy. And he asks himself, why does the past hurt so much? And then the doctor comes over and they talk through the gate while they're both in detention. Picard and Guinan are drinking with the shotgun on the table. Picard is able to convince Guinan that at least he's not a threat. And then a man named Uncle Dale comes to take Luna, her dog, I guess. And then Picard quotes Guinan from the future. And our young Guinan gets super sick because she's suffering from something called Av-Kelt, or time sickness, a condition unique to Elorians when the timeline has been affected in a major way. And she's really unconvinced that she's going to help. She's like, I'm just going to get away from Earth as far away as possible. And Picard says to her, in Picard fashion, distance offers no protection from time. Meanwhile, Rafi and Seven leave the LAPD, and Rafi is being impulsive. She uses a phaser, which she was not supposed to have, to blow out the windows, quietly blow out the windows of a cop car, get in, hijack the computer with a tricorder. Some cops come out, so Seven has to jump into the driver's seat. They are able to figure out where Rios is being held, but then when they get in contact with Agnes, they find out that the transporter's not working, and it's going to take her a while to fix it, like almost a day maybe, and so they have to speed to get to Rios. It's going to be an hour, so they hijack the car, hit the road. Seven, I don't think, knows how to drive a car, but she drives it like a spaceship, so she's handling herself, although she's going the wrong way down a one-way street, and the police realize that the car is stolen, and so a chase ensues. Meanwhile, Jurati has to negotiate with the Queen because the Queen can get the systems of the ship to work better, and the Queen tries to do all this manipulation on Jurati. You're so lonely. I was in your head, I saw you. But Jurati's like, you're also lonely. How about this? You help me help my friends, and then you and I can share sad sack stories with each other in between crises. And the Queen's like, fine. So they managed to get the transporters working. We'll jump to that later. Picard, meanwhile, Stevie, you're gone. And you're back. And we're still recording. It worked. Okay. Picard is out in the street with Guinan. They're donating stuff to another one of those unhoused villages. He's trying to convince Guinan that humankind will change for the better, but no dicey. So that's not really working super great. Meanwhile, Rios and Teresa Ramirez is her last name are talking through the gate. Ramirez gets released. Rios is like, you've helped me enough, don't worry about it. The ICE officer who tased Rios is comes over and starts teasing him and asking for proof of identity. Rios, in the science fiction time travel trope, tells him the explicit truth, which the police officer does not at all believe. He laughs it off and says, I got space for you on the bus. You're about to go to some weird detention center and disappear. Rafi and Seven are driving around rather recklessly, I wrote. And they, Agnes manages to work things out with the Queen such that when they are surrounded by cops and they stop the car, they're able to beam out and they end up on a hill just by where the bus is coming. Let's see. Picard is still trying to get Guinan to help. She says he's not the one she's looking for. She ain't a watcher. He finally tells her his name. She curses and gets into the car because apparently this is something she felt. This changed things. Picard didn't want to tell her name because he didn't want to change her path. And then she says, listen, I'm not the watcher, but I can get you face to face with her. She's kind of a pill, but she's definitely going to want to meet you if you're truly Picard. She takes him to a park, gives him back the communicator that she stole off of him because she thought it was a weapon. A child comes with completely wide eyes, threatens Guinan and says they're going to put their foot through her face. Guinan's like, all right, she's not kidding. I got to go. The girl tells Picard to take his hand, pulls him over to a different part of the park, has him pop the energy cell out of his communicator. This reverts to normal. Others are possessed and they're directing him. We'll come back to that because that's the big dun 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 at the end of the episode. Wait, did I get to... No, that's it. And so Picard walks through a tunnel. Other people help direct him. And guess who the Watcher is? Are you ready with dun dun dun? The Watcher is none other than Laris. Damn, that was really inappropriate. I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that. I also was like, who is that? I was like, what? I know this bro. Whoa. Anyway, yeah, that's the Watcher. And Picard's like, Laris. And she comes over, touches his shoulder, and they disappear in a block of smoke. I don't know, sort of weird magic science. And the whole episode's ended with Q talking to himself or a woman who's paying him no attention in a little like outside cafe in a corporate park, talking about fear and doubt, and he's worried about something. I mean, definitely Q is not well. He's monologuing in a way that speaks to like true anxiety and concern. And then he snaps his finger and nothing happens. The woman laughs at the book she's reading, and he says, "That's unfortunate. Oh, that's inspected and most unfortunate." And here endeth episode 4 of season 2 of Star Trek Picard. Oh my God, do you want to chat about that? Good Lord.
Woo.
I say, darling, let's do a quick chat about that.
Yes, let's do. Well,
Let's do.
Indubitably.
What do you want to chat about?
Oh my God, it's bonkers. I very nearly dropped an F-bomb. That's how bonkers it was.
It was bonkers. I think episode 4 was possibly my favorite thus.
Episode 4 was truly a delight. I mean, I really enjoyed the Seven and Rafi hijinks, of course.
That was my favorite. I think that's almost my season highlight.
Yeah, the arguing in the car. It was very like, what am I watching? A great action film? I felt like I was watching like Die Hard or something. It was great.
But they just played it so well off each other with like straight man, funny man.
Yes.
Or
yeah.
Whatever. Woman, straight woman, funny woman.
Straight people, funny people. That sounds strange.
Mm.
Well, anyway, the point is they have rapport.
Rapport.
What was the crazy thing about him seeing Guinan in 2024? Is that the canon thing that everyone's upset about?
And her not knowing who he was.
And not knowing who he was because there was that episode where they meet in like Mark Twain times, right?
But to me, I don't think she's been there that long. I think this was her before she was even in Mark Twain time. That's how I am thinking about this.
You're thinking she's been there and eventually she goes back in time to Mark Twain times?
Yes.
So this is, I mean, listen.
Because she's younger. That's why I'm like, her in Mark Twain time is her even before she meets Picard in 24th century. But it's after now.
Right. Listen, it's time, baby.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it. I don't care that she doesn't recognize Picard in what she was going to be like, the Mark Twain's friend or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure the nerds over at there have figured something out.
Yeah, but I think it's like all of the nerds in the Star Trek world going crazy about that. I'm like, why do we think that her time is linear? Like her timeline in Star Trek is linear. It doesn't have to be. And why could she not just have a holiday to like 1870 or something?
Right. She's traveling. She's not worried about time and all that stuff. Also, if Elorians can suffer from Afkelt, then they're familiar with time being kind of all wonky and different timelines and so on and so forth. Anyway, I think it's people who are a little too, too sort of like adamant about canon. Like, let a story happen. Let's see where it goes. Be disappointed at the end of the season when they wrapped everything up. Then you can be like, well, here are the major problems. That's what I do. Don't do it at the end of season 4. Have fun.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with where it's going and where it's at.
Well, I'm happy too. And I want to tell everyone that the show is great so far. It's really lovely. I liked the Agnes and her subconscious is very strange. That was a weird, when they set it up, I was like, this is going to be a weird scene. And it was a weird scene. And, but I think it did, it like moved the story forward emotionally for Agnes. Like you were saying, we get a lot of Agnes going on here. And even her interaction with the Queen in episode 4 tells us a lot about where she's at in her headspace. That she then just like walks away from the Queen. She's like not honoring the deal. She's like, I locked you out of the systems, and just leaves in her long cardigan. Strong. And what else do I like? There was a lot to like. I don't know. Guess I'm worried about Rios, but how are they going to knock over this bus?
Oh, they do it. Don't worry.
I mean, of course they do.
This, like, episode 4, I didn't see as much in episode 3, but episode 4 was full of, like, Trek references and Easter eggs, if you will.
I even picked up one somewhere. I don't know where I wrote it down, though. But I was like, that was an Easter egg. That was a thing. I was like, hey, that's a reference to a thing. I don't know. I write the plot, so I don't really write down when I notice. I just wrote it doesn't matter.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You found 6 Easter eggs?
Sure did.
Should we go into a brief Easter egg thing right here in the middle of chat about that?
Yeah.
Chat about that? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the Easter egg hunt. It's Easter time here in Set Phasers headquarters. And we go down to Stevie on the Easter egg beat. Stevie, what have you got for us?
Well, hi there, Augie. Hi there. Good to be here. I'm here in season 2, episode 4 of Star Trek Picard, and I can tell you there are some crackers
All right.
of Easter eggs for you. Oh, yeah, and it happens to be Easter very, very shortly, so this is just fun. Fun all round. Who wouldn't want to play
Everyone's having fun. We're all having fun.
So, let's see. I'm not sure this is in order, but certainly when Picard beams down to 10 forward, and you may see this later on, Guinan's car, I don't know why it says this, but her license plate is S02E01, as in season 2, episode 1, although this is 4. But yes, when she first appeared. Yeah. So that is interesting. Also, obviously, we have 10 Forward Avenue, where her bar is. Thank you. And we have Mr. Rocker on the bus, Kirk Thatcher reprising his role from Star Trek 4, playing a song called I Still Hate You, which is a play on the I Hate You, which he was playing, and a fake song in the original Star Trek number 4, Voyage Home.
The Voyage Home, yes, indeed.
So that was rather fun. And apparently
I'm sorry, I still love that song.
I know. This is not the second time he's played that role. This is the second time within Star Trek he's played this role. But he also, I believe, played it in a Marvel film. I'm slightly forgetting which one, because I believe he was friends with some writer on the show or director or something, who was a big Star Trek fan.
Wild.
So, fun fact. When they were walking from Guinan's bar, they passed by Floyd's barber shop. And Mr. Kirk himself walked past that barbershop with Joan Collins in Star Trek, the original series, in the episode The City on the Edge of Forever.
Wow.
And the signage was exactly the same.
Wild.
Maybe they just kept that prop. Who knows?
Yeah.
Fun bit of canon. Picard's accent was explained. Did you notice that?
I did notice that.
That was fun. So they discussed Picard, Chateau Picard, was occupied during World War II. The family snuck out through the tunnels underneath and moved to England.
Foreshadowing the tunnels underneath Chateau.
Fun. So at the very, very end, when Q snaps his fingers and nothing happens, the girl who was reading the book, wonder who she could be, was reading a Dixon Hill novel.
I noticed that. Yes. Okay, great. I did notice that.
Very good.
Yes.
Entitled The Pallid Sun. Now, the Pallid Man was a character from 12 Monkeys, where Telly Matalas was a showrunner. And Telly Matalas, who is now, I think, showrunner on Picard.
Time traveling.
Look at all of those Easter eggs. Can you believe it?
Those Easter eggs are bonkers. I remembered what my Easter egg was because of that Sean Dixon quote. Because a guy that says, "Look at you, Sean Dixon." Oh,
Jurati says, "Look at you."
No, Dr. Teresa says that. No, does Jurati say that?
Jurati. Who's Dr.
Jurati says it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well, Lucky, that is it from Season 2, Episode 4 for Easter eggs and Star Trek Picard. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, and back to you, Stevie and Aki, in your studio. Okay, yeah, so that was cool that they have all these Easter eggs.
I know.
And I also feel like that points to an idea that maybe Guinan's time is not linear. It's like, you know.
And she was actually, she visited, she was part of the Dixon Hill, the big goodbye.
She was there.
That's right.
Exactly. I just suspect, I forgot what just made me sure that she was, something that she says is like something that she would only know or knows later, which means that maybe she does things not quite. Anyway, doesn't matter. Time is timey-wimey, okay? No one knows how time works. Timey-wimey.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to go on to episodes 5 and 6. I'm
Indeed.
terribly excited. I'm almost caught up to everybody else.
Yeah, I know. This is why we have to run it down fucking fast.
This is why I got to run it down so fast. Episodes 5 and 6 coming at you next, but you don't need to know that. What you need to know is quotable moments.
Quotable moments. So you see where I get my Julia from. In fact, my accents don't really change.
Yeah, that's wonderful, though.
My voice
they become Archer. The accent becomes more arch.
Oh, arch.
Quotable moments. Yeah.
I thought you said
that's
I become more like Archer, as in captain, and I said, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, you become more like Captain Archer. You're super into water polo. You're only beagles. And I don't know, you like to eat fruit salad or something.
Broody a lot.
Broody, a lot of brooding, walking with your shoulders.
Yeah. Anyway, quotable moments.
Quotable moments. Okay, I have a few.
Go for it.
I very much enjoyed Jurati talking after the Borg Queen is like, where my... And she says, computer, dictate the file log shit I stole from the Borg Queen. So good.
She's really good in that. I love her. Fave. I had Crystal Ball. Is that like a stage name or something?
Oh, yeah, I wrote that down right away. I love it.
Cop to Rafi.
They're going to call him Crystal Ball, which is great for the whole timey-wiminess of it. Let's see. Jurati saying, it's a partial assimilation, and Picard saying, halfway to hell is still not a recommended destination, which is pretty solid. The Queen, when she's like in her fugue of sending them through time, she says, move backward to go forward, shatter to mend, the past is now.
It's creepy. Creepy.
Heavy.
I didn't actually pick up on too much from episode 3, but episode 4, it was just a treasure trove of quotes. And one of my favorite moments of all time from this series so far is Rafi walking away from the desk at the cop.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I hate everything. But you hide it so well.
Yeah.
They're just such a good pair.
I'm ready for the Lethal Weapon reboot with Seven and Rafi.
It's just too good. They're such a good pairing together.
Yeah.
Like not only like as a couple, but just as a comedy duo. They just have that back and forth. Works so well.
mean, yeah, like from the audiobook, they should get their own like maybe 3 episode, just like they solve a crime or something. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Any more?
The only other one I have is the Jurati. When she says to the Borg Queen, "Well, have a good night," or whatever it is Borg Queens do. Oh, have a good night plotting, or whatever it is Borg Queens do. Yeah. So.
I had one more, and it was Picard. Change always comes later than we think it should.
Oof.
Mandy, that was such a Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc, sometimes I think the only reason I come here is to listen to these wonderful speeches of yours.
Can't overuse that, can we?
You can't. And it's kind of true, isn't it, Q?
Isn't it true? True, Q.
Do we have any breaking news?
No, there was a lot of news over the weekend, which we've already covered, I think, with Star Trek Mission Chicago. And there's just fan stuff. It looks really fun, but sadly, nothing new. They've dropped all of their bombs, really.
So they say. Well, I guess then there's nothing left to do but wrap this bad boy up.
Let's do that.
Next time on
As Stevie tries to find the button.
Let's do that. Well, thank you so much for listening to us. This has been a real pleasure. If you've enjoyed the episode, you can listen to us, download us wherever you get your podcast from. We put out new episodes every Monday and sometimes on an advanced schedule when we're super behind because of something that happened to me. Stevie?
Bonus. And if you want to join our Star Trek loving community, you can do so on patreon.com/setphasers. We host watch parties, we host Zoom parties, we host cooking shows with Julia and James, just for funsies. Of course, you also get early episode access, video and audio, and just generally get to hang out with us, which is really the best thing that we
It's
offer.
a pleasure.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure. I try on glasses sometimes.
Yeah, we're a delight.
We're a delight.
Please do join us at patreon.com/setphasers.
Yes, and while you've got your tabs open, you might as well sign on to social media and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where we're Set Phasers Podcast on Instagram, I think.
Yes, I think
and
that's right.
on Facebook, Set Phasers. I think it's just Set Phasers.
Just Set Phasers.
Yes, meme game strong. I speak of Stevie, of course.
Indubitably, my dear fellow. Well, I think, is that everything? We covered it all?
I think so.
Lovely. Well, until next time, I'm Stevie Mans.
And I'm a crystal ball. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical, clearly, Star Trek podcast.
Computer!
Next time.
Pick the wrong fucking button, will you, computer? End the program. Pick the right fucking button.
You hit the wrong fucking button.
We'll have to put an explicit out on this episode.
Oh my goodness.
Indeed.